The air in the Sequoia conference room felt thick, recycled. Vanessa was doing that thing with her fingers again, drumming them on the table like she was impatiently waiting for a microwave to ding. Across from us, Brad was leaning back, grinning like he'd just sunk a three-pointer with the game on the line. Liam, Vanessa started, her voice cutting through the silence. We're reallocating the Synapse project. I didn't even look up. My eyes were glued to the terminal. Line 404. Memory leak fixed. Reallocating? The Series C docs are already filed. My name is on the primary patent, the secondary patents, and every line of the core logic. You want to move it. You'll need a court order. Don't be pedantic. She snapped. It's a formality. Brad here is going to take the lead on the client-facing rollout. He's got the charisma, the vision. I finally looked up. Brad was wearing a watch that cost more than most cars. Vision? I asked. Brad, explain to me how Synapse handles stochastic gradient descent in high-variance markets without overfitting model. Brad blinked. He looked at Vanessa, then back at me. It's about reading the room. Man, understanding the human element. The human element is going to get your clients bankrupt. I said, turning back to Vanessa. Synapse is a CRM tool. It's a predictive engine. If you change the leadership structure without updating the kernel permissions, the whole stack crashes permanently. Vanessa sighed, that long-suffering sigh she always used when she wanted to make me feel like the difficult one. We're not asking for your permission. Liam, we're informing you. Brad needs this. His firm is circling the drain after that rideshare fiasco. His incompetence isn't my problem. I said, keeping my voice flat, and it sure as hell shouldn't become my financial liability. You're talking about moving a 9-figure contract to a guy who thinks Python is a snake and Java is an island. Brad stood up. He was trying to use his height, but I've never been intimidated by posture. You're just salty because you're a code monkey and I've got the corner office. Hayes, you build the toys. I sell them. That's how this works. I laughed. It came out dry. Hollow, you sell toys. Brad, I build infrastructure. There's a difference. One is a novelty. The other is a foundation of a billion-dollar market cap. You're confusing a participation trophy with a Super Bowl ring. Enough. Vanessa cut in. Her eyes were hard now. I'm the managing partner here. I have final say. Brad gets the contract. You will transfer the encryption keys and the admin credentials by the end of the day. That's not a request. That's a marital directive. A marital directive. Jesus. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The sharp angle of her jaw. The Botox-smooth forehead. The way she wore her power like a suit of armor that didn't fit quite right. She wasn't seeing a husband. She was seeing a resource. A utility. You know, I said, closing my laptop slowly. When I built Synapse, I built in a few safeguards. Standard practice for high-level AI. One of them is a biometric failsafe. It's tied to my vitals. If I'm forcibly removed from the project, or if my credentials are transferred without the secondary 64 character hash only I possess, the system doesn't just shut down. I paused, letting the silence hang. Brad looked confused. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. It initiates a cascading data corruption protocol. I finished. Every node in the cloud cluster gets wiped. The backups too. It's not just a shutdown, it's a systemic purge. The data becomes unrecoverable. Forensic teams would find nothing but digital ash. Vanessa's face paled slightly. You wouldn't dare. That's corporate sabotage. It's protecting my intellectual property from negligent mismanagement. I corrected. There's a legal distinction. Vanessa, one that my lawyers are very fond of. Section 12B of our prenup covers detrimental actions against jointly held technical assets. Handing my life's work to a guy who couldn't debug a toaster counts as detrimental in any jurisdiction. Brad stepped forward, jabbing a finger at me. You're bluffing. You're just some bitter nerd who can't handle that I'm with her now. Vanessa, don't listen to him. He's trying to hold us hostage. Am I? I asked, opening the laptop again. I pulled up the terminal. Want to test it? Give Brad the keys. I'll run the transfer script. The moment his signature hits the access log, the fail-safe triggers. We'll have about 10 seconds before the first data packets start self-destructing. It'll be like watching a house of cards in a wind tunnel. Vanessa looked between me and Brad. For the first time in our 5-year marriage, I saw a flicker of genuine uncertainty in her eyes. She was used to me being the rock, the silent partner, the guy who just fixed things. She wasn't used to me being the guy who could break them. "Liam," she said, her tone softening, shifting from the commanding partner to the pleading wife. "Think about what you're doing. We're a team. We're building a legacy here. He's family. He needs this win. He's your ex-boyfriend." I said, "And family doesn't usually try to sink the family business to pad their own resume. This isn't about legacy. Vanessa, this is about you want to play house with a guy who knows how to wear a tie, but not how to read a balance sheet. Don't talk to me about balance sheets." She hissed. "I'm the one who schmoozes the LPs. I'm the one who closes the deals. All you do is sit in the dark and type. And all you do is take the credit for what I type." I shot back. The words hung in the air. "You want the win? Fine. Take the win. But you don't get the engine. You get the chassis. And without the engine, that chassis is just a very expensive paperweight." I stood up. I didn't bother packing my bag. There was nothing in that room I needed. "You have until 5 o'clock. Either Brad walks away from this contract, or Synapse walks away from you. Your choice." I turned to leave. "Liam, wait." Vanessa called out. I stopped at the door, but didn't turn around. "If you do this," she said, her voice low and venomous now, "if you sabotage this deal, I will make sure you never work in this town again. I will bury you so deep, they'll need a geological survey to find your career." I finally turned, looking at her over my shoulder. "Vanessa, you've got it backwards. You didn't marry a partner. You married the architect. And right now, I'm looking at a building with a critical flaw in the foundation. I'm not going to let it collapse on me." I walked out. The click of the door closing behind me sounded louder than it should have. I didn't go back to my office. I went straight to the elevator. My phone was already ringing. "Vanessa." I declined the call. Then Brad called. I blocked the number. In the parking garage, I leaned against my car. The anger hadn't hit yet. It was something colder, something clearer. I'd spent 5 years building a future with a woman who saw me as a tool. Today, I'd reminded her that tools can be sharp, and sometimes they cut the hand that holds them. I got in the car and drove. I didn't have a destination. I just needed to put some miles between me and that conference room. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number, probably Brad, trying to be threatening. I glanced at it. "Hope you know you are destroying us. Brad is everything you are not. Come home and fix this or regret it forever." I deleted the text. Regret? I regretted marrying her about 3 years ago. This wasn't regret. This was a correction. I pulled into a Starbucks drive-thru, ordered a black coffee. While I waited, I opened my laptop again. I didn't touch the Synapse code. Instead, I opened a new file, a new project. I typed the name at the top, 0 Point. If Synapse was the past, complicated, entangled, compromised, 0 Point would be the future. Clean, mean, untouchable. As I pulled away, sipping the bitter coffee, I watched the Silicon Valley skyline in my rearview mirror. It looked smaller somehow, less impressive. Just a collection of glass boxes filled with people playing God with other people's money. I didn't need their glass boxes anymore. I had my own blueprints. My phone rang again. "Vanessa." I let it ring until it went to voicemail. A second later, the notification popped up. "Liam, Brad is threatening to sue. The LPs are asking questions. Please, just talk to me. We can fix this. I'll make it right. Just don't do anything rash." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My actions were speaking louder than her panic. I took another sip of coffee and hit the accelerator. The car surged forward, away from the valley, toward the coast, toward somewhere quiet, somewhere I could think. The truth was, I wasn't being rash. I was being precise. Vanessa want to play a Game of Thrones? Fine, but she forgotten one crucial rule. The king doesn't win by being the loudest. He wins by controlling the board. And today, I just flipped the table. I spent the next few hours driving. Highway 1, the ocean on my left, a blur of blue and gray. My mind was racing, but my hands were steady on the wheel. I was running through the code in my head. The fail-safe was solid. I'd tested it 100 times in sandbox environments. It wasn't just a threat. It was a mathematical certainty. By late afternoon, I pulled into a small coastal town, Half Moon Bay. I found a quiet spot overlooking the water and parked. I opened my laptop again. The terminal was still open. I ran a quick diagnostic on the Synapse servers. Everything looked normal. For now. Then I wrote a short script. It wasn't malicious. It was just a monitor. If Brad's credentials were logged, it would trigger an alert on my secure server. I set it running and closed the laptop. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. It was beautiful, in a detached sort of way, like looking at a complex piece of generative art. I wondered if Vanessa was watching the same sunset. Probably not. She'd be in her office, pacing, yelling at her assistants, trying to figure out how to spin this. She'd call me again soon. She'd try a different tactic. The pleading would turn to promises, then to threats, then maybe back to pleading. It was a cycle I knew well. But this time, the script was different. This time, I'd written the ending. I checked my watch. 4:45 p.m. 15 minutes until her deadline. I wondered if Brad was sitting at my desk yet, if he was logging in, if he was feeling like a big shot. At 4:55 p.m., my secure server pinged. An alert. New login detected. Admin credentials. User, Brad Miller. I watched the timestamp. 4:56 p.m. Then, at 4:57 p.m., the fail-safe triggered. I watched the data stream in real time. Node after node going dark. Backups failing. The system purging itself exactly as designed. I didn't feel a rush of triumph. I didn't feel satisfaction. I just felt quiet, a deep, profound silence that had nothing to do with the ocean or the empty parking lot. I closed the laptop and looked out at the darkening water. Somewhere across the bay, Vanessa's world was falling apart. Her precious contract was evaporating. Her reputation was taking a hit. And Brad was probably staring at a blank screen, wondering why his big comeback was nothing but a blue screen of death. My phone rang one last time that night. Vanessa. I didn't decline it. I just watched it ring until it stopped. Then I powered the phone off completely. I sat there in the growing darkness, listening to the waves. For the first time in longer than I could remember, I was alone with my thoughts. And they weren't lonely. They were clear, focused, ready. Vanessa thought she was taking my contract. She thought she was taking my work. But she'd forgotten the most important lesson of all. You can't steal what you don't understand. And she'd never understood a single line of code I'd written. She'd taken the credit. She'd taken the praise. But she'd never taken the knowledge. And that, in the end, was the only thing that mattered. I started the car. The headlights cut through the dusk. I didn't head back to Palo Alto. I didn't head home. Home was a concept, not a place. And my concept of home had just changed. I drove north, towards San Francisco, toward a new apartment I'd rented under a shell company 6 months ago, a precaution I'd taken after noticing Vanessa's increasing obsession with Brad's potential. It was a sparse place, minimal furniture, high-speed internet, and a view of the bay. It was perfect as I crossed the Golden Gate, the city lights blurring past. I thought about the morning, about the conference room, about the look on Vanessa's face when I'd mentioned the fail-safe. It was a look I'd remember for a long time. Not anger, not even fear. It was the look of someone realizing they'd been playing checkers while I'd been playing chess. I parked in the underground garage of the new building, took the elevator up. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it. Quiet, empty, mine. I ordered a pizza on my new, encrypted phone, sat on the floor with my laptop, opened the 0-point file. The cursor blinked. Waiting. I started typing. Not code. A list. A list of people I trusted. People who understood the value of the work, not just the value of the payout. By midnight, the list had 5 names. 5 engineers who'd worked with me in the past and respected the craft. I drafted emails to each of them. Offers. Generous offers. The kind that didn't require venture capital because I didn't need Vanessa's money anymore. I had my own. I hit send. Then I leaned back, eating cold pizza, watching the city lights. The silence in the apartment was different from the silence in the car. This silence was productive. It was the sound of a new beginning. Somewhere in the hills of Palo Alto, Vanessa was awake. I knew it. She'd be on the phone with lawyers, with Brad, with anyone who would listen. She'd be trying to piece together the wreckage of her day. She'd be realizing, slowly, that the wreckage wasn't just Synapse. It was her marriage, her partnership, her carefully constructed image of control. And me? I was just getting started. I finished the pizza and opened a new terminal window. I started writing the core logic for Zero Point. It was cleaner than Synapse, more elegant, built from the ground up with security in mind. No backdoors, no shared credentials, no ex-husbands waiting in the wings to claim credit. As the code flowed onto the screen, I realized something. I didn't miss the conference rooms. I didn't miss the power lunches. I didn't miss the constant performance of being Liam Hayes, the genius husband of Vanessa Pierce. I missed the work, the pure, unadulterated joy of solving a problem that no one else could solve. That was my addiction. That was my currency. And now, it was mine again. I worked until dawn. When the sun came up over the bay, I stretched, cracked my neck, and saved the file. I looked at the clock. Zexua AM, time to start the day. I made coffee. Strong. Black. Checked my secure email. 3 of the 5 engineers had already responded. Acceptances. They were in. I smiled. It was the first genuine smile I'd worn in months. Not a smirk. Not a grimace. A real smile. Vanessa would spend the rest of her life trying to understand what happened yesterday. She'd blame me. She'd blame Brad. She'd blame the market, the SEC, the alignment of the planets. She'd never blame herself. That was her greatest weakness. Me? I blame myself, too, for waiting so long to hit the reset button, for letting her define my value by the size of my contracts rather than the depth of my code, for forgetting that the architect is more important than the building. But that was yesterday's problem. Today, I had a new building to design. And this one was going to touch the sky. I picked up my new phone, dialed the first number on my list. A guy named Marcus, a systems architect I'd worked with at Google years ago. Marcus, I said when he picked up, it's Liam. I'm starting something new. I need a server farm, 100 nodes minimum, and I need it online by noon. Money's no object. Can you do it? Marcus chuckled on the other end. Liam Hayes, thought you'd retired to the suburbs with your wife. Yeah, I can do it. Where do I send the bill? Send it to the holding company. And Marcus? No paper trail. No names. Just the specs. Understood. Welcome back. Mun, the industry's been boring without you. I hung up, looked out the window at the waking city. Boring? Not anymore. I spent the morning coordinating the setup. By noon, the server farm was live. I uploaded the first module of Zero Point. It hummed to life. A quiet, digital heartbeat in a secure facility in Nevada. I didn't celebrate. I didn't pop champagne. I just watched the data flow. Clean, efficient, uncorrupted. Around 2 in the afternoon, my old phone, the one I'd power back on, started buzzing. A flood of notifications. News alerts. Tech scandal. Synapse project collapses amidst technical failure. Vanessa Pierce's firm faces crisis as billion-dollar AI vanishes. Sources say disgruntled co-founder behind sabotage. I skimmed the headlines. Typical sensationalism. They were calling me a disgruntled co-founder. They had no idea, grunt-led or disgruntled. I was the only one who knew how to turn the lights back on, and I wasn't telling. I turned off the old phone for good, dropped it in a glass of water, watched the screen flicker and die. A fitting end. The rest of the week was a blur of code, conference calls with my new team, and the quiet satisfaction of building something purer. I stayed offline. No social media, no news, just the work. On Friday evening, I got a message through my secure channel. Maya Singh, she was a journalist I'd respected for years, known for her deep dives into tech corruption. Liam, I know you're behind the Synapse wipe. I don't blame you. Vanessa Pierce is a piece of work. If you ever want to tell your side of the story, I'm listening. No judgment, just facts. I stared at the message. Maya Singh, she had a reputation for being fair, but relentless. I considered ignoring her, but then I thought about it. Maybe it was time to stop being the silent partner. Maybe it was time to speak. I typed a reply. Short, simple. Facts are easy. Motive is complicated. Let's talk next week. Off the record. Her response was immediate. Tuesday, 3 p.m. The press club. See you there. I leaned back. Tuesday. That gave me 4 more days to solidify 0 point. For more days to make sure that when I did talk, I wasn't just a man with a grievance. I was a man with a plan. I looked at the code on my screen. Lines and lines of elegant logic. It was more than a program. It was a statement. A declaration of independence. Vanessa wanted to win. She could have Brad. She could have the ashes of Synapse. She could have the sympathy of the tech elite who didn't understand the first thing about what I did. Me? I had 0 point. I had my team. And I had the quiet, unshakable knowledge that the next time someone tried to take what was mine, they'd find out that the architect doesn't just build a house. He decides who gets to walk through the front door. And right now, the door was closed, bolted, and I'd thrown away the key. I shut the laptop, stood up, walked to the window. The city was alive with lights. A million stories unfolding, but none of them were mine anymore. My story was just beginning. And this time, I was the one holding the pen. The silence in the apartment was profound, but it wasn't empty. It was full of potential, full of promise, full of the sound of a man who'd finally found his voice. I poured another cup of coffee. Black, strong, just the way I liked it. The game was over, and I'd won. Not by playing dirty, not by cheating, but by understanding the rules better than anyone else at the table. Vanessa thought she was playing me, but she'd forgotten the first rule of chess. The queen is powerful, but the king decides when the game ends. And I just ended it. Checkmate. The burner phone vibrated against the glass coffee table at 7:03 a.m. Maya Singh. I let it ring twice before picking up. You've got a pair on you. Hayes, she said. No preamble. Securities and Exchange Commission just landed at San Carlos Airport. They're not here for the weather. I sipped the black coffee. They'll find a cold server rack and a whole lot of nothing. Synapse is legally my IP. The kill switch is documented in the engineering logs. I didn't sabotage anything. I prevented unauthorized access to a proprietary algorithm. Your wife is telling every reporter with a press pass that you're a spurned lunatic who tanked a $1 billion deal to get back at her for sleeping with Brad. I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. Brad's already moved on. He was spotted at the Rosewood last night, hitting up Vanessa's limited partners for bridge funding. The man's a parasite. He's just looking for a new host now that the first one is dying. Maya paused. You're enjoying this. I'm enjoying the efficiency of the code. I corrected. Vanessa mistook my silence for compliance. She confused my focus on the work with a lack of awareness. She's about to learn the difference between a software update and a system wipe. Talk to me about the shares. Maya said, the ones you hold in Pierce Hayes Holdings. If you dump them now, you'll trigger a cascade. The firm won't survive the liquidity crunch. I'm not dumping them. Maya, I'm exercising the founder's extraction clause. Subsection 12B of the prenup. You should read it. It's beautifully written. Basically says if the company engages in activities that materially compromise the integrity of the core technology, I can liquidate at the last private valuation, which was $1. $2 billion. She breathed. Before the crash. Before the crash. I confirmed. Vanessa's lawyers are going to argue that the crash was my fault. My lawyers are going to show the judge the logs. Brad's login. The automated purge. The fact that I sent Vanessa 3 memos warning her that Brad didn't have the security clearance to handle the data architecture. She ignored them. You set her up. Maya said, it wasn't a question. I built a system with safeguards. She bypassed them. I'm not responsible for her negligence. I'm just the guy who owns a patent on the lock she broke. I hung up as a secure line on my laptop lit up. Eleanor Vance, 62 years old, silver hair, and a reputation for eating junior associates for breakfast. Liam, we have a problem, she said. Her face was crisp on the encrypted video feed. Vanessa just filed for an emergency injunction in Delaware Chancery Court. She's claiming you're dissipating marital assets by attempting to sell the shares. Let her file. I said, I've already transferred the shares to a blind trust in Nevis. The court can't freeze what it can't see, and the sale is proceeding through a Swiss intermediary. By the time her injunction lands, the money will be in my account. You're moving fast. Eleanor noted. She moved first. I replied, I'm just moving smarter. Draft a response. Cite Rosenblum v. Metromedia. If the asset is separate property due to the IP clause, her claim is moot. Also, remind the judge that she signed the waivers last year when I restructured the patent holdings. Eleanor smirked. You're a cold son of a bitch. Hayes, I like it. The buyers are lining up. We got a sovereign wealth fund from Singapore and a private equity group from Texas. Both are offering above the valuation. They want the patents, not the drama. Sell to the Texans. I said, they close faster. And tell them the patents come with a non-compete that prevents Vanessa Pierce from ever working in AI development again. I want that buried in the fine print. Done. What about Brad? He's giving interviews, calling you a domestic terrorist in the tech space. Ignore him. He's irrelevant. He's a loud noise in a system that values signal. Once the money clears, I'm releasing the technical audit of Synapse. It'll show that Brad didn't just fail to understand the code. He actively tried to bypass the security protocols to make it more user-friendly. He deleted the firewall. The man basically took the locks off the doors and then acted surprised when the house got robbed. Eleanor nodded. I'll have the press release ready. One more thing. Vanessa is trying to access the private residence. Your old house in Atherton. Change the codes. I said, and tell the security firm to trespass her. If she shows up, she doesn't live there anymore. Not legally. I moved the deed into a trust last month. Another one of those precautions she laughed at. I ended the call and opened the news feeds. Vanessa was on CNBC, looking polished but pale. The interviewer was grilling her. Ms. Pierce, sources say the Synapse collapse was due to a technical fail-safe triggered by your husband. Can you confirm? Vanessa's smile was tight. Liam is a brilliant engineer, but he's been under immense pressure. We're working through some marital difficulties. I'm confident we can resolve this internally and restore functionality to the platform. Internally? Mr. Miller, your former partner, seems to suggest the platform is irrecoverable. Vanessa's I twitched. Brad is no longer with the firm. This is a temporary setback. Our technology is robust. I muted it. Robust. Right. I pulled up the server logs for the old Synapse cluster. Brad had indeed tried to fix it. He'd run a script to disable the authentication layer. The logs showed him Googling how to turn off password protection on server. The man was a caricature of a tech bro. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I answered. Liam, it's me. Vanessa's voice was low, frantic. Please, turn it back on. The SEC is here. They're seizing hard drives. Brad is gone. He cleared out his desk and took the emergency cash fund. I'm alone here. You made your choice. Vanessa, I said, you chose Brad. You chose the charisma. You chose the illusion of control. Now you're dealing with the reality of your incompetence. I didn't choose him over you. She cried. I was trying to help him. He was struggling. You're my husband. You're supposed to be secure in that. Secure? I laughed. You handed the keys to our financial future to a man who thinks a GPU is a type of car. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed every employee who worked on that project. You betrayed the investors who trusted your judgment. And you want me to feel secure in a marriage where I'm treated like a disposable utility? I'll give you everything. She pleaded, full control of the firm. I'll step down. I'll sign over the house. Just please, fix the code. Talk to the SEC. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding. Vanessa, it's a feature, and the feature is working exactly as designed. As for the SEC, I'll talk to them when my lawyer is present, and I'll tell them the truth, which is that you authorized unauthorized access to a protected system and ignored repeated warnings about the security risks. You're killing me, she whispered. No, I said, I'm holding you accountable. There's a difference. Enjoy the fallout. I hung up, blocked the number. Then I opened a new document and started drafting a statement for the SEC. Factual, clinical. It detailed the security protocols, the warnings issued to Vanessa, and the exact timeline of Brad's unauthorized access. I attached the screenshots of Brad's search history, how to delete System 32, how to make computer faster, what is a firewall. By noon, the first wire hit my account. $400 million. After taxes and fees, it would settle at around $780 million. Enough to fund Zero Point for a decade without touching a single venture capitalist. I called Marcus. Money's in. Buy the servers. All of them. I want a private cloud. Air-gapped, with quantum encryption. No external access points. On it, Marcus said, you've got the SEC crawling up your ass. Though, you sure you want to stay dark? I'm not staying dark. I said, I'm staying invisible. There's a difference. Let Vanessa and Brad be the public faces of this disaster. I'll be the guy who actually understands why it happened. Late that afternoon, Maya called back. You got balls of steel. The SEC just raided Pierce Capital. Vanessa is lawyering up. Brad is in Cabo. According to his Instagram, he's posting pictures of margaritas and calling it strategic relaxation. Idiot, I muttered. Tell your contacts at the SEC to check his recent wire transfers. He moved $500,000 to an account in Belize 2 days ago. Embezzlement. Add it to the pile. You're really going for the kill. Maya said, I'm removing the infection. I replied, Vanessa can survive this if she stops lying, but she won't. She'll double down. She'll blame me, Brad, the market, the regulators, anyone but herself. And that's why she'll lose. What's next for you? Maya asked. Next, I finished Zero Point. It's not just a predictive engine. It's a decentralized ledger for AI ethics. Every decision the AI makes is recorded, immutable, transparent. No more backroom deals. No more handing the keys to idiots. Sounds like you're building a better mousetrap. I'm building a better mouse. I said, one that doesn't need a cat to keep it in line. I hung up and looked at the blinking cursor on my screen. The code for Zero Point was coming together. It was cleaner, faster, more resilient than Synapse had ever been, because Synapse had been built to impress Vanessa. Zero Point was being built to outlast her. My old phone, the one I dried out, buzzed one last time. A text from Vanessa. I am sorry. I see it now. I was wrong. Please, just tell me you'll talk to me. I'm at the house. I'm not leaving until I see you. I deleted the text. Then I deleted the phone number. Then I took the old phone and dropped into a shredder I bought that morning. The grinding noise was satisfying. Final. I walked a window. The sun was setting over the bay. Somewhere in Atherton, Vanessa was sitting in an empty house, waiting for a man who wasn't coming. Somewhere in Cabo, Brad was spending stolen money, thinking he'd won. They didn't get it. This was never about the money. It was about the principle. You don't get to steal a man's work and expect him to thank you for it. You don't get to treat a genius like a servant and expect loyalty. I turned back to my laptop. The code was waiting. The future was waiting. And for the first time in a long time, I was the only one holding the pen. The news played on in the background. Muted, Vanessa's face flashed on the screen, looking desperate. The anchor was talking about unprecedented volatility and a crisis of confidence in the AI sector. I muted it, picked up my coffee. and started typing. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Let them wonder where Liam Hayes went. I knew exactly where I was. I was in the quiet, and the quiet was where the real work happened. The secure line lit up at 6:14 a.m. Maya Singh, no pleasantries. Brad's on a flight back from Cabo. She said, Customs flagged his passport. They found a thumb drive on him, labeled Synapse Recovery. It's garbage. Liam, literally, he copied the corrupted root directory and thinks it's a backup. I kept typing. He always did confuse the icon with the function. What's Vanessa doing? Burning the furniture to stay warm. She's in a closed-door meeting with the limited partners at the Four Seasons in Palo Alto, telling them you're a rogue employee and that she has redundant systems in place. She's lying through her teeth, but they're buying it for now. They want to believe the money's still there. I stopped typing. Redundant systems? The only redundancy she has is Brad, and he's about as reliable as a screen door on a submarine. Leaked the technical audit. The one showing Brad disabled the authentication protocols. Already did. Maya said, send it to the lead LP. A guy named Robertson at Kleiner. He's not happy. Called it gross negligence. But Vanessa is spinning it as you locking her out maliciously. Maliciously, I repeated, tell Chun to check the timestamps. The warnings were sent 3 weeks ago, before the transfer, before Brad touched the system. She had time to stop it. She chose not to. I did. Maya said, he's asking for a live demo, proof that the system is truly dead, and that you're not just holding the keys hostage. I leaned back, set it up, 2 hours, video conference. I'll walk them through the kill switch. But tell Chin this isn't a negotiation. It's a post-mortem. I hung up and opened the terminal, pulled up the Synapse architecture. I started annotating the kill sequence, highlighting the biometric dependencies. It was elegant, really, like a bomb that only detonates when the wrong person tries to defuse it. At 8 a.m., the video conference connected. 6 squares. Robertson looked like he hadn't slept. Vanessa was in 1 square, her makeup caked on, eyes red-rimmed. Brad was nowhere to be seen, probably lawyering up in a Denny's somewhere. Mr. Hayes, Chin started, his voice tight. Vanessa assures us this is a misunderstanding, that you're withholding access to the Synapse servers. I didn't look at Vanessa. I looked at Chun. Mr. Chun, there is no access to withhold. The servers are wiped. The data is corrupted at the hexadecimal level. Even if I wanted to give you access, there's nothing to access. See? Vanessa interjected. He admits it. He destroyed the system. I protected it. I corrected. From unauthorized access, which you authorized, Ms. Pierce explained to Mr. Chun why you transferred administrative privileges to Bradford Miller despite 3 formal memos warning that he lacked the requisite security clearance. Vanessa's mouth opened, then closed. I was attempting to diversify the leadership. Brad has extensive experience in scaling startups, scaling them into bankruptcy. I said, Mr. Chun, pull up Exhibit C in the legal filing. It's a screenshot of Mr. Miller's search history from the Synapse terminal. He searched how to turn off security on server 4 times. He succeeded on the 5th try. That action triggered the cascading purge. The system didn't fail. Ms. Pierce, it performed exactly as designed, to prevent unauthorized breaches. Chin squinted at his screen. This is unbelievable. Brad Miller did this? He did. I said, and your managing partner here signed the authorization. She prioritized her ex-boyfriend's ego over the technical stability of a billion-dollar asset. That's not a misunderstanding. Mr. Chun, that's a breach of fiduciary duty. Vanessa lunged toward her camera. You smug bastard. You set me up. You've been planning this for months. You want me to burn. I wanted you to listen. I said, my voice cold. I wanted you to respect the work. You wanted a scapegoat. Congratulations. You're looking at him in the mirror. Chin held up a hand. Enough. Mr. Hayes, can this be reversed? For a fee? A significant fee? No. I said, the data is gone. The encryption keys were tied to my biometrics and the hardware security module in Zurich. Both are offline. Synapse is a ghost. You're not investing in technology anymore. Mr. Chun, you're investing in a lawsuit. Chun looked at Vanessa. Is this true? Is the technology truly unrecoverable? Vanessa hesitated. It was a fraction of a second, but in a room full of investors. Hesitation is a death sentence. It's recoverable. She lied. We just need time to rebuild the datasets. Liam is being difficult because of our personal issues. I laughed. A short, sharp bark. Mr. Chun, ask her where their redundant systems are located. Ask her for the serial numbers of the backup tapes. She won't have them because they don't exist. She's betting your capital on a lie to save her reputation. Chen's face hardened. He turned to Vanessa. Vanessa, the truth. Now, Vanessa looked at each square on the screen, her desperation palpable. Robert, please, we can fix this. I'll get Brad back. He knows the system. He knows how to delete it. I snapped, Mr. Chun, I'm sending you the forensic report from the Zurich vault. It proves the data was wiped at 16:57 Pacific Standard Time yesterday. The exact moment, Mr. Miller's credentials were authenticated. This isn't a debate. It's a fact. I hit send. The report landed in Chen's inbox. I watched his eyes scan the document. The color drained from his face. Vanessa, Chen said quietly, you told us the technology was intact. You told us Liam was a problem. He is the problem. Vanessa shrieked. He's a traitor. He's trying to destroy me. No, Chen said, standing up. He's trying to show you that you destroyed yourself. This meeting is adjourned. Vanessa, consider this your formal notice. We're freezing all capital commitments, and we'll be discussing your immediate removal from the partnership. He clicked off. One by one, the other squares went dark, until only Vanessa remained. She stared at the screen, her chest heaving. You're going to pay for this. Liam, I'll sue you for every penny. I'll tell the world you're unstable. You'll do nothing. I said, because if you sue me, I'll countersue for tortious interference and fraudulent misrepresentation. I'll depose Brad. I'll show the jury the emails where you told him to streamline the security protocols. You'll be disbarred from the VC community before the first recess. I'm your wife. She whispered. Not anymore. I said, the divorce papers were filed this morning. Eleanor Vance has the details. You have 14 days to vacate the Atherton residence. Anything you take that isn't explicitly yours will be considered theft. And Vanessa, try to access the 0-point servers. I dare you. The kill switch on that one doesn't just wipe data. It launches a logic bomb that'll trace back to your personal IP and send a copy of your browser history to every major tech publication. I ended the call, blocked her email. Then I opened a channel to Marcus. It's done. I said, the LPs are jumping ship. Expect a flood of subpoenas. Make sure the Swiss accounts are locked down tight. Already on it. Marcus said. Also, Brad's lawyer is calling. They want a plea deal. He's facing embezzlement charges in 3 jurisdictions. Let him rot. I said, or don't. I don't care. Just make sure he doesn't have a dime to hire a decent coder. I want him flipping burgers in a strip mall in Reno before the month is out. I spent the next hour refining the 0-point code. The news was breaking everywhere. Pierce Capital implodes. Lead investor confirms AI technology destroyed. Vanessa Pierce under investigation for gross negligence. My personal phone, the new one, stayed silent. No calls from Vanessa. No calls from Brad. Just a text from Maya. You just vaporized a unicorn. The SEC is drafting a subpoena for Vanessa as we speak. You okay? I typed back, I'm efficient. Tell the SEC to check the deleted folder on Brad's laptop. He hid the embezzlement receipts there. He thinks deleted means gone forever. Idiot. Maya sent a thumbs up emoji. By noon, the first reports surfaced. Brad Miller had been arrested at SFO, attempting to board a flight to Buenos Aires with a fake passport. Vanessa Pierce had issued a statement blaming technical malfunctions and personal vendettas, but it was too little. Too late. The LPs were circling like sharks. And her reputation was the blood in the water. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I just kept coding. 0 Point was taking shape. It was leaner, meaner, and built on a foundation of transparency that Synapse had never had. Every line of code was documented. Every decision was logged. No more secrets. No more backroom deals. Late that night, I got a ping from the security system at the Atherton house. Motion detected. I pulled up the feed. Vanessa was in the living room, sitting on the floor, surrounded by broken glass. She was drunk, slurring into her phone. "He can't do this. He's my husband. I'll get it all back. I'll find a way." I watched for a minute. Then I closed the feed, deleted the footage. She wasn't my problem anymore. She was a cautionary tale. I opened a new file, started drafting the ethical guidelines for 0 Point. Rule number 1, never prioritize personal relationships over technical integrity. Rule number 2, transparency is the only security. Rule number 3, if someone tries to bypass the locks, let them. Then show the world they were the ones holding the crowbar. I saved the file and leaned back. The city was quiet, the kind of quiet that follows a storm. Vanessa's world was in ruins. Brad was in custody. The investors were licking their wounds. And me? I was just getting started. The game hadn't changed, but the players had. Vanessa had bet on charm and connections. Brad had bet on arrogance and theft. I had bet on the code. And the code never lies. I shut the laptop for the first time in years. I slept without setting an alarm. The front desk patched the call through at 9:17 a.m. My assistant, Sarah, 26, ex-Google, zero tolerance for bullshit, sounded like she was chewing glass. "Liam, Vanessa Pierce is downstairs. She doesn't have an appointment. She's insisting it's a domestic matter and that I have to let her up." I didn't look up from the kernel optimization I was running. "Does she have a badge?" "No." "Is she on the approved visitor list?" "No." "Then she's not a visitor. She's a weather event. Tell her to blow over." Sarah paused. I heard Vanessa's voice in the background, sharp and shrill. "Sarah, put me through. Now." "I'm his wife." "She says she's your wife." Sarah relayed. A hint of dark amusement in her tone. I corrected. "Past tense. Tell her the divorce papers were filed last week. She's now a plaintiff in a pending civil suit. And tell her that if she doesn't leave the lobby in the next 60 seconds, I'm calling building security and pressing trespassing charges. Record the call. Sarah, we might need it for the discovery phase." "Copy that," Sarah said, and the line went dead. 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed with forwarded audio file. I hit play. "This is Sarah at 0 Point. Ms. Pierce, you need to leave the premises. I'm not leaving until I see Liam. He can't do this to me. I live here. Ma'am, you are currently on private property. Your access has been revoked. If you do not depart immediately, we will be forced to contact the San Francisco Police Department. You will regret this. Both of you. Liam, you coward. Pick up the phone." I deleted the file. Efficient. I went back to the code. But 10 minutes later, Sarah called again. She's still here. She's sitting on the floor by the elevators, crying, making a scene. People are staring. I sighed. "Fine, send her up, but keep the recording on. And tell security I want a chaperone in the room. No physical contact. No exceptions." On it. A minute later, the elevator chimed. The doors hissed open. Vanessa walked in, flanked by 2 security guards. She wasn't wearing her usual power armor, the tailored ST, John knits, the Louboutins. She was in yoga pants and a stained cashmere sweater. Her hair a tangled mess. She looked like she'd been sleeping in a rental car. She tried to run to me. The security guard caught her arm. "Ma'am, maintain your distance." "Liam," she sobbed, collapsing into the chair across from my desk. "Please. Oh, God, please. Just look at me." I swiveled my chair to face her. I didn't feel anger. I felt a clinical detachment, like examining a faulty circuit. "You have 3 minutes. Vanessa, I have a compile running that can't be interrupted." Tears streamed down her face. smearing yesterday's mascara. I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I was so stupid. Brad cleaned out the rest of the business accounts. He's gone. The SEC, they're seizing everything. The house, the cars, my 401k. I'm ruined. I have nothing. Nothing except us. Please, let me come home. I lean back. Us. There is no us. There hasn't been since you handed my life's work to a man who thought a firewall was a suggestion, not a security protocol. I didn't mean it, she cried. I was trying to help him. He was my first love. Liam, I just wanted to see him succeed. I never thought he'd do this. You didn't think, I said flatly. That's the operative phrase. You didn't think about the engineers who worked 18-hour days. You didn't think about the investors who trusted your judgment. You didn't think about the fact that I built Synapse to be tamper-proof. And you handed the tampering tools to a chimpanzee. Your lack of thought is not my responsibility to rectify. She slid off the chair onto her knees. The security guard tensed. I'll do anything. I'll sign whatever you want. I'll give you full control of everything that's left. I'll crawl. I'll beg. Just don't let me drown. I can't do this alone. You're not alone. I said, you have Brad. Go find him in whatever hole he's hiding in. I'm sure he'll appreciate your newly impoverished status. He's a liar, she screamed. He used me. He took the money and ran. It was always you. Liam, it was always you. I see that now. I see what I threw away. You see the utility. I corrected. You see the meal ticket. You see the man who could fix the mess you made. But you don't see me. You never did. You saw a resource, a high-yield investment, a silent partner who wouldn't ask for a dividend. Now that the investment has soured, you want to cash out the principal. It doesn't work that way. She crawled closer, reaching for my hand. The security guard stepped between us. Ma'am, do not touch him. Remember our wedding. Liam, she whispered, her voice breaking. You said you'd always be my rock. You said you'd build a future with me. Was that all a lie? No. I said, the wedding was real. The promises were real. But the foundation was cracked. You built your house on my talent. Vanessa, but you refused to learn the architecture. You thought the walls would hold because I said they would. You never bothered to check the blueprints. Now the house is falling. And you're shocked that the guy who designed it won't stand inside while it collapses. I love you, she said, the words sounding hollow. Rehearsed. No, I said, you love the reflection of yourself in my success. You loved telling people your husband was a genius. You loved the lifestyle my bank account provided. But you never loved the man behind the keyboard. Because if you did, you would have respected the work. You would have respected the mind. You would have respected me. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? I have nowhere to sleep tonight. That's not my problem. I said, you made your bed with Brad. Now you can lie in it. In a Motel 6 off the 101. Probably. I hear the continental breakfast is mediocre. She looked up, her eyes red and swollen. How can you be so cruel? After everything we've been through? After 5 years of marriage? Cruelty would be lying to you. I said, cruelty would be giving you false hope. I'm being honest. Our marriage died the moment you chose Brad over the truth. I'm just a coroner signing the death certificate. I turned back to my monitors. Sarah, call the elevator. Escort Ms. Pierce out of the building. Inform the doorman she is not permitted to re-enter if she returns. Call the police. Liam, please. Vanessa shrieked as the security guards hauled her to her feet. Don't do this. I'm pregnant. I froze. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I slowly turned back to her. She saw the flicker of reaction and latched onto it. Yes, I'm pregnant. It's yours. Liam, it's ours. We can be a family. Please, think of the baby. I studied her face. Then I looked at Sarah. Sarah, pull up her medical records from the last 6 months. The ones I have access to through the joint insurance we haven't canceled yet. Sarah's fingers flew across her keyboard. A moment later, she looked up. Shaking her head minutely, I turned back to Vanessa. According to your latest gynecological exam 3 weeks ago, you're not pregnant. In fact, you've been on oral contraceptives consistently for the past year. And even if you were, Vanessa, do you really think I'd bring a child into a world where its mother thinks fraud and emotional manipulation are acceptable negotiation tactics? The color drained from her face. You check my records? I check everything. I said, it's why Synapse worked. It's why Zero Point will work. And it's why this conversation is over. You're not pregnant. You're not welcome. And you're not my problem. The security guards dragged her toward the elevator. She was screaming now, incoherent, thrashing. I'll destroy you. I'll tell everyone you abandoned me. I'll tell them you're a monster. The elevator doors closed, cutting off her tirade. Silence returned to the office. A heavy, blessed silence. Sarah looked at me. Well, that was intense. Note in the file. I said, my voice steady. Vanessa Pierce attempted to gain entry under false pretenses, including a fabricated pregnancy claim. Forward the audio and security footage to Eleanor Vance. Added to the divorce proceedings as evidence of harassment and psychological instability. Got it, Sarah said, turning back to her desk. I looked at the blinking cursor on my screen. For a moment, a ghost of a memory flickered. Vanessa laughing at a farmer's market, her hand in mine. But it was a filtered memory, scrubbed to contempt. The manipulation, the slow erosion of trust. The reality was the woman on her knees, lying about a child to claw her way back into a life she'd torched. I deleted the memory, hit a key. The compile finished. Success. I picked up the phone and dialed Eleanor. Eleanor, it's Liam. Vanessa just tried to breach the 0 Point office. Claimed she was pregnant. She's escalating. I want the restraining order expedited. And I want a clause in the settlement that mandates a psychiatric evaluation before any visitation rights are discussed. If it ever comes to that, consider it done. Eleanor said, the judge is already leaning our way after the Synapse debacle. This will cement it. How are you holding up? I'm Fine. I said, she's not. And that's the point. She wanted to play in the big leagues. She wanted to use my code without understanding it. Now she's learning the cost of a runtime error. I hung up, stood up, walked to the window. Far below, a small figure emerged from the building, arguing with the doorman. Vanessa, she looked up at the glass tower, shielding her eyes. Even from this distance, I could feel the hatred radiating off her. I didn't wave. I didn't acknowledge her. I simply turned my back. She was looking for a man who no longer existed. The Liam Hayes who made excuses for her, who covered her mistakes, who believed her promises. That man was as dead as the Synapse servers. In his place stood an architect who didn't build homes for people who burned them down. He built fortresses for himself, for his work, for the people who understood that the foundation matters more than the facade. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, probably Vanessa, using a burner. You'll regret this. One day you'll wake up and realize what you threw away. I was the best thing that ever happened to you. I deleted it. Then I blocked the number. I walked back to my desk and opened a new document. Started drafting the employee handbook for 0 Point. Section 1, Integrity. Section 2, Accountability. Section 3, No exceptions. As I typed, the city hummed below me. A city that had once celebrated Vanessa Pierce. A city that was now watching her fall. And a city that would soon know the name 0 Point. I didn't need her regret. I didn't need her apologies. I needed the silence, the clarity, the unshakable knowledge that the next time someone tried to hand my keys to an idiot, the locks would already have been changed. I hit save. The game was over. And for the first time, I wasn't just winning. I was defining the rules. The invite arrived via bonded courier on a Wednesday. Heavy stock, embossed letters. Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit. Keynote speaker, Liam Hayes. Founder, 0 Point AI. Sarah slid it onto my desk without comment. She knew I hated these dog and pony shows. Decline it, I said, not looking up from the latency metrics. Send the standard prior commitments note. Too late, Sarah said. Maya Singh already confirmed on your behalf. She said it's the perfect place to announce the Nexus launch. Also, Vanessa Pierce is on a panel earlier that day. The ethics of failure. I stopped typing, looked at Sarah. Maya's playing chess again. She said you'd say that. She also said, and I quote, if you let her define failure, you let her define you. Show them what success looks like when it's built on bedrock, not sand. I leaned back, Vanessa, on a panel about failure. The irony was almost poetic. Almost. Fine, but I'm not sharing a stage. I'm not in the same green room. And if she comes within 50 feet of me, I'm walking, already arranged. Separate entrances, separate exits. Security is tripled. Maya's bringing a film crew. She wants to document the contrast. Contrast? I repeated. Fine. Tell Marcus to prep the Nexus demo. I want it running on an air gap system. No Wi-Fi. No Bluetooth. If Vanessa so much as breathes near the uplink, I want the hardware to physically disconnect. Done. The summit was a circus. I entered through a service elevator, bypassed the main hall, and went straight to a small breakout room Maya had secured. No windows, one door, 2 guards outside. Perfect. I watched the live stream on a secure tablet. Vanessa was on stage, looking eerily similar to her last visit to my office. Expensive clothes doing little to hide the desperation. She was using words like learning experience and pivot. The Synapse situation was a tragic confluence of personal strife and technical overreach. She was saying, her voice trembling just enough to seem vulnerable, my ex-husband, Liam, is a brilliant but volatile man. He built a system that was, frankly, too powerful for its own good. When our marriage fractured, he chose to destroy the technology rather than see it succeed without him. It was a profound ethical failure on his part. The moderator, a smarmy guy from TechCrunch, nodded sympathetically. And the allegations that you handed the admin keys to your ex-boyfriend, Brad Miller? Vanessa's jaw tightened. Brad was a consultant. Liam's characterization of his technical abilities has been exaggerated for dramatic effect. The truth is, Liam wanted total control. He didn't want collaboration. And when he didn't get his way, he burned it all down. I'm here today to discuss how we, as an industry, can prevent such destructive behavior from individuals who prioritize ego over innovation. I muted it. Ego over innovation, I said to the empty room. She deleted the firewall. Maya, let's keep that in mind. Maya's voice came through my earpiece. I'm counting on it. Your turn in 5. Remember, don't mention her name. Don't acknowledge her existence. You're not here to refute her. You're here to render her irrelevant. I walked onto the small stage in the breakout room. 1 camera, 1 mic, no audience, just Maya, holding a monitor that showed my feed being piped into the main hall and to millions online. Start in 3, 2, 1. I looked into the lens. The difference between a tool and a weapon isn't the tool. It's the hand that holds it. At 0 point, we don't build weapons. We build tools with locks. And the only people who complain about the locks are the ones who intend to misuse the tools. I paused. Let that land. Nexus isn't just another AI. It's an ethical framework. Every decision it makes is logged on an immutable ledger. No hidden algorithms. No backdoors. If you want to use it, you agree to transparency. If you try to bypass the security, the system doesn't just shut down. It reports the attempt to every node in the network. Instantly, I nodded to Marcus off camera. He hit a key. The screen behind me lit up, showing a live feed of Nexus processing global shipping data, real-time optimizations, carbon footprint reductions, supply chain efficiencies. No lag, no aiders. This is what actual innovation looks like. I continued. It's not about charisma. It's not about who you know or who you use to date. It's about math. It's about accountability. And it's about having humility to admit that no single person is smarter than the system they're supposed to be safeguarding. I saw Maya glance at her other monitor. Her eyebrows rose. Liam, we're getting real-time data from the main hall. Vanessa just stood up. She's walking out. Good, I said. Then she's finally learning her place, which is anywhere but here. I finished the demo. 10 minutes. No notes. No theatrics. Just the quiet hum of a machine that worked exactly as promised. After the feed cut, Maya came onto the set. You just vaporized her. Professionally. Did you see the comments? Finally, a tech leader who takes responsibility. This is the future. Goodbye, gatekeepers. Vanessa's panel is trending for all the wrong reasons. Hashtag ethics over ego is #1 on Twitter. Twitter isn't a metric. I said, deployment is. Get me the numbers from the pilot programs in Singapore and Rotterdam. If Nexus reduced their logistics costs by the projected 15%, we move to phase 2, already at 17%. Marcus said, stepping into frame. And Rotterdam wants to license the municipal grid management module. They're offering $20 million up front. I allowed myself a small nod. Tell them we'll take it. On one condition, full transparency. Every line of code audited by their top security team. No secrets. Maya looked at me. You know, this isn't just about the tech anymore. It's about the precedent. You've shown an entire industry that you don't need VCs like Vanessa to validate you. You don't need the old boys club. You built your own table. I built a better operating system. I corrected for everything, including business. Vanessa thought she was the investor. She forgot she was just a lucky beneficiary of a dividend she didn't earn. Now, she's learning what it feels like to be delisted. Later that evening, back in the San Francisco office, I found an envelope slipped under the door. No stamp, no return address. Inside, a single sheet of paper, Vanessa's handwriting. Liam, I watched your demo today. I saw what you built. It's beautiful. It's everything Synapse could have been if I'd just listened. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I lost. Not the money, not the status. The mind, the sheer, terrifying brilliance of it. I am sorry for everything. Vey. I read it twice. Then I walked to the shredder, fed the letter in, watched the blades turn it into confetti. Sarah poked her head in. Everything okay? It's archived. I said, folder title calibration. A reminder that people don't value the well until they're dying of thirst. And by then, it's too late to learn how to dig. I turned back to my monitor. The Nexus code was humming. The world was changing. And I was the one writing the patch notes. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Vanessa Pierce steps down from all remaining ventures, citing personal reasons. I didn't smile. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after a storm, when the only thing left is the clean, cold truth. I picked up the phone and dialed a number I hadn't used in months. My mother. She lived in a small town in Oregon, far from the Silicon madness. Liam? She answered, surprised. Everything all right? Everything's efficient. Mom. I said, just calling to say hello. And to tell you I'm coming up for Thanksgiving. No drama. Just pie. She laughed. A warm, genuine sound. I'll make the pumpkin. Your father will complain about the Wi-Fi. Same as always. Sounds perfect. I said. I hung up, looked out at the city lights. They didn't seem so imposing anymore. They were just lights. And I was the one who'd remembered how to flip the switch. Sarah knocked again. Liam, the team's ordering Thai. Want your usual? Yeah, I said. Extra basil. No mensaje. I turned back to the screen. The cursor blinked. Waiting. I typed one line of code. A new subroutine. It was a simple function. Really, it checked for integrity, for honesty, for the willingness to admit when you were wrong. I called it Vanessa check, and then I deleted it because some checks aren't worth running. Some systems aren't worth salvaging. And some people, they're not bugs in the code. They're just deprecated features. I hit save. The future wasn't about revenge. It was about the upgrade. And this version, it was bulletproof.